It can be a humbling sport. Every time you think you're all that, you're not.
Right back down.
Yeah, yeah, it just does. Has a way of doing that, right? Like it's crazy that way. So. All right, Coach. Hey, it's great seeing you. Great catching up. Really do appreciate, as always, you taking the time to out of your busy schedule and joining me for a nice conversation. I hope.
SimpleCoach, I always appreciate and enjoy our conversations.
Yeah.
And thank you for repping Marietta's crest across.
Yeah, like it's my best hoodie. That's all I'll say.
I'm
cool that way.
Well, I can't tell whose hat you're wearing.
This is a Luther hat. This is Luther. So I actually was going to put on Ohio Northern, but I thought that might be a little too uncomfortable.
I like Chris and Anthony and Seth and their staff. They're good guys.
Yeah, and I just was going to wear it because they're going into a game. This is being recorded on Friday, so they have their big game tomorrow.
Yeah, at 11 a.m.
At 11 a.m. So, which, I don't know, is it cold out there?
Yeah, and it's snowing right now here in Southeast Ohio. So Columbus area is getting a little bit of snow. So, yes, it's cold.
Yeah.
It's going to be really on grass, too.
Yeah. So I just figured I'd go neutral and shout out to my Norse out in Iowa. But anyhow, thanks for joining. Hey, I just really quick just wanted to touch upon the OAC and how you thought the conference was. Did it shape up the way you were expecting? Were there any surprises? Not so much from you guys. We'll talk about Marietta, but were there any surprises for you this year?
I thought that Ohio Northern was going to be good. I actually voted them as the number one team in our preseason poll because I knew what they had coming in because they stole about 6 guys from our recruiting class. Anthony and Chris do a really nice job with that. So I thought they'd be good. John Carroll I don't think they're ever going to be bad again.
Right.
Dehan does a good job there. So it played out that way. Otterbein was very good. Mount was really good this year. When we played Mount, they played us off the park. Really technical, quick. Krems must have had a little bit of extra juice that night because they kicked our butts. I was surprised at Cap the way it played out, but they were so young and they got better as the season went on. So I think the OAC played out pretty much very similar to the way I thought it would, although I thought we'd be higher, to be honest with you. But So the OAC was good, and it was good again.
Yeah. I think Ohio Northern and John Carroll, obviously for the automatic bid, but both of them making it and Ohio Northern having this run, it's kind of a testament to the league itself, right? Like, I mean, again, I'm on the East Coast, so we hear a lot about NESCAC Centennial, all this sort of the landmark, but
I don't think we get as much respect because we are Midwestern. You think about our conference, John Carroll Northern, Otterbein, Wilmington's good.
Yeah.
People don't talk a lot about Wilmington, but they were historically really good, and now they're back. And Corey's a new coach there, and he got it done this year. They were dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, so what I do want to ask some rule changes before we get into the fun stuff. Hey, so I interviewed Joe Mangachos of Western Connecticut, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to get hindsight after the year about these overtime changes? So you had a number of overtime games, and you had a number of ties that would have normally gone to overtime. Do you think it was good that there was no overtime? Do you think it was a net positive, net negative?
Well, I will say it was good that we didn't have the extra burden on the legs in overtime. So if we had 3 ties, I think one was going to be tied no matter if we played an extra time. Nobody was scoring that day. And a couple other ones would have gotten the result one way or the other based on the way one team is playing versus the other. What I don't like about the overtime going away and the ties is we had teams playing for a tie from the opening kick. I mean, it was clear there was a couple of games this year that we were getting a minute long in between the ball being retrieved for a goal kick and the goal kick being taken from the get-go. And I think that has changed. That lack of overtime has changed the way teams played, for sure. So I don't think that's good for the game.
Yeah.
But the health and safety aspect of it. But let's be honest, the health and safety aspect was a convenient reason for the NCAA because there's other things the NCAA could do to help us in the health and safety, and they aren't willing to do it because it costs money. And they don't want to spend money on it. So it's convenient, but I didn't particularly. I voted against it when it came up. I wanted to keep overtimes, but I don't mind the fact that we didn't have the extra work on our legs. But it did change the way teams play.
Yeah. Really, that's. I thought when we might have talked about this. Like, I was pretty sure that every coach I talked to said, "Oh, we won't play for ties. We won't play for ties," and then my conclusion is that there darn well teams played for ties, and maybe not in the way of just sitting back and not doing anything. But definitely, hey, let's put more emphasis on defensively, and let's not sacrifice so much going forward and taking risks, right? And I think that was definitely on the table this year for a lot of coaches.
I mean, look at Williams, who's playing Northern.
Yeah.
What, they have 11 ties?
11 ties, yeah.
What, 7-1 and 11, I think they are?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, including Messiah, right? The team they just beat.
Yep.
They took them to penalties.
Now, I think that Williams is getting probably the teams playing for a tie against them because they're very good.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's not the way I want to play the game.
Yeah.
But if I'm sitting in a situation where I'm playing a really good team and we're 0-0, 70 minutes in, and we're up against it, sure, I'm going to play for a tie.
Yeah. It's just natural, right? Like, tie looks better than a loss, right? And but again, Williams being the case, like, hasn't hurt him. The ties haven't hurt, right? You thought you would, right? But hey, which leads me to I know you said it was a convenient. I don't want to say excuse to do the no overtimes. This health and safety of players. So I heard about this idea of extending or matching the soccer season with the football season so that you would get basically on both ends, I'm going to say, a week, 5 business days, 6 days on both ends. What would your thoughts be on that? That you would have a longer preseason.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the NCAA says we're going to do away with overtime for health and safety. Great, appreciate that. But yet they only give us X amount of days to practice before we play a game. Now, I know you can say, well, you don't need to play a game on that first day, coach. But I'm telling you right now, if I'm not playing 18 games, someone's using that against me in recruiting.
Yeah.
Because kids want to play games. So the fact that if they were allowed to do that, and this is the first I've heard of it, but it doesn't mean it's not out there, obviously. A week prior or 10 days prior and a week extra at the end, or 2 weeks extra at the end, because the football season ended just last weekend. That would be great. I would love that because we wouldn't need to play 2 games a week every stinking week. And I've got 1 week where I'm going to play next year a doubleheader on the weekend, a tournament on the weekend, and I play midweek and I'll play midweek the week after because I need to get 18 games in somehow because that's just what you got to do.
Yeah, that's what Coach Mangacho said at Western Connecticut. Like we play a lot of games because you have to. Because like you said, that somebody will use it against you. Like if you're not playing 17, 18 games in a regular season, somebody is saying, look, they don't play that much. They, and look at us. You can have more games, more opportunity to play.
Yep. I want to get my 18 games in. I'm never going to play 20 regular season games, which you're allowed to.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pull that off.
Yeah.
But I'm going to play 18, and we're going to have to just rotate guys in. And we
Yeah.
did that, and we had our doubleheader this year, but we were so wrecked by injuries by that point. It made it difficult to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's shift over to the season. I actually had a chance to listen to the preseason talk that we had.
Yeah.
You were probably a couple weeks into or a week into your preseason, and you were just about to start. I think it was on the 30th. And I don't think you were not confident, but I think you had some concerns. Then you expressed some concerns with preseason and how it was sort of shaping up, and it actually said it hasn't been the best preseason and it hasn't been the worst. So now with the season over and about those comments, do you think you were tuned into something that sort of materialized? Or
Yeah, so let's have a little bit of a laugh here because you and I exchanged messages, and you said, I'd like to interview you again. I said, well, why would you want to interview a guy that went 5, 10, and 3? How not to do it is why we're having this interview today. So I don't think I saw the future based on preseason.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great, but it didn't give me pause. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
What immediately hurt us was losing Dave Beatty in warm-ups in the first game of the year.
In warm-ups?
Yeah, he tore ligaments in his ankle.
Oh my God.
So, and then I lost our leading scorer from the prior year to an ACL tear and 20 minutes into the game. So that set the tone. Now, I'm not using injuries as an excuse because we were deep enough to overcome some of this stuff. But boy, it put us behind the 8 ball a little bit, and we never recovered. And then when you get into a group, an organization where things are not going your way, the things that normally don't matter when you're winning
mattered
in a big way. And no matter what I tried to do to pull us out of that, was unable to do that.
Yeah.
Having said all that, we were right into the OAC. We started out the OAC 2-0 because we went into that first OAC game against an undefeated BW who was dangerous, and we played really well and scored two nice goals to win that game on the road. Great ride back. And so we beat Muskie the next time on the road. And then we played John Carroll and lost, and then we just hit a patch where we lost more guys to injury. Again, should not be an excuse, but it is the reality of the losses of Dave came back and played starting in conference, but he was never going to be the same. His ankle was wrapped a quarter of an inch thick just to get through games. And then I lost the current leading scorer, and an injury. He played only, I think, 11 games this year. And I lost a kid to a tib-fib fracture. I had 2 tib fractures. One of them was a tib-fib, 2 broken wrists, 2 ACL tears. I mean, we kept the local docs in business. But we should have been able to overcome some of those. And we just had challenges in the group, in the attitudes, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and I couldn't control it. And that's on me. End of the day, that's on me. So I know you got some other questions to ask about the future, and I'll get into that. But we got to look back at it. And we just wrapped up our end of the season meetings with the players yesterday, and we talked about how we're not going to do it again. And I said, my line to the guys was, I got 7 years left in coaching, and they have however many years left playing. I'm not doing this again. We're not going to do this again. We're going to do something different if this happens again. But we're going to buy into what we're doing before we can go into it. So we had a lot of conversations about that. I'll let you ask a couple questions, which will get the answers on those. But I was not. I'm embarrassed that we were 5, 10, and 3. Really am, because we haven't been that poor since my first year as the head coach here. Yeah. And we were too good to be 5, 10, and 3.
Yeah.
But
I'll jump ahead to one question. Do you think there were some of those games? I'm thinking especially the ties. I'm sure there were some of the close losses that you thought, oh my gosh, Why is the result this way? Were you thought like you should have been on the other end of the score?
Yeah. Yes. There were games that I felt that we should have won based on who we were playing, based on who we had and how we were playing. But we never got over the hump.
Yeah.
We had, 2 ties early on that I think RIT, we played them, we could have played another hour and no one was going to score.
That was the game. Yeah.
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 I do
It's
think
funny you
somebody
say that because I saw them play somebody else and they ended up winning the game, but it was 3/4 of the game. You're like, is anybody going to do anything?
Yeah, they were very organized, hard to
Yeah.
break down. We did the same thing. So,
Yeah.
so the ties kind of set the tone for us a little bit. But the way it is when you play in a conference schedule, you get to start over at 0-0 in
Yeah.
conference. We started out 2-0, and we were flying. Mentally, we were flying. We felt like we had overcome the things that we had earlier in the season, and discipline in terms of red cards / yellow cards did not help us. We racked up way too many yellows. We had 2 reds. You referenced in your email to me the Otterbein game. I thought we played really well the first 25 minutes against Otterbein.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were taking it. Like,
Yep.
based on that, I was kind of like, they're going to do this. They're going to
Yep.
they're going to make the tournament because they were the way you were playing. And then they scored that goal and then
Yeah, and then we got the red card. Red card
Yeah.
killed us. Otterbein's too darn good to play down a man.
Yeah.
We had a system. We funneled them the way we wanted them to play, which we tried to take away some of the long balls from them, make them play through us, which they're not overly comfortable with, but they're very good at being direct and playing the ball in, and we couldn't stop that once we got the red.
Yeah.
And Nathan Neal is a heck of a player at a center back and just ping a ball 70 yards on a dime every time. And then you got Will Isaac scoring a bike against us.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah.
they
That
earned
was
the
a
win.
cracker of a goal. Like, if you
Yep.
didn't think he was a good ball player, you're like, watch that goal. I
Yeah,
might
when
see if I can't post it, see if I can't find it and take a clip. And
When
just
you
to
when
show
you
it.
go through the all region stuff and the all conference stuff, and you're like, God, that kid scored a bike against us. How can we not vote for all region for that guy? I guess he's going to be back for a 5th year, so yay us.
Yeah, you're excited, huh?
Yeah, real excited.
So let me ask you. I mean, you definitely sound like you're disappointed, obviously, and and you had a sort of a veteran group. I mean, does that sort of compound the disappointment? Like you were expecting veterans to, I don't know, step up is such a trite.
Yeah,
way
so
of
here's
saying
a,
it, but-
a good story for you. I left practice because I'm a voting member of the faculty, and I go to a faculty meeting. So I left my assistant coach, Kyle Clancy, to run practice to go to the faculty meeting. It's once a month, so it's been that way for a while now. So I go to practice, and I come back, and I say, Coach, how's it going? And he mumbles something to me, and it's clearly not going well, not a good practice. And then we got a kid who gets upset in practice and boots the ball over the fence onto the main road, and I just snapped. And I brought them in, and I chewed their butts. And I said, we just got done playing Wilmington. Wilmington was supposed to be us this year. They've won, at that time, 8 or 9 games. Very senior-laden group.
Yep.
Doing really well. And I said, that should have been us. Instead, we're scuffling along. At that point, I think we had won 4 games. Won 4 games. And it's because we just aren't working hard enough. We haven't bought in. We think we're too good for ourselves. And I went on about a 10-minute tangent that they got that day. Because it's the truth. Wilmington and ourselves were really similar in terms of makeup of the team. And they got it done, and we didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the blame you're going to have to put on me because I'm the head coach. The buck stops at my door, right?
Yeah.
But our guys need to take a look at and see, maybe I could have done this differently, or maybe I could have been more supportive of this or that. But it just spiraled out of control, and it is a great classic example of how not to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't have the answers. I didn't have the answers during the season on how to solve it and fix it. Jay Martin fixed it because they started out real rough.
Oh my gosh.
And he fixed it.
Yeah.
But he's got 45 years. I got 25 years.
Yeah.
I guess I need another 20 years. To be
You
able to
need
figure out how
you
to
need
fix it.
you need to keep going at this. Like I'm just. I've seen those like heartwarming videos of guys being wheeled out onto the sideline, after
That was
surgery or something.
your
That could be
second
you.
ever.
um, yeah, actually, Ohio Wesleyan. Like, I don't know. I really want to speak to Jay just to talk about that, because at 0-4-2. Listen, you won 4 games or however many it was, and you had a breakdown. They were 0-4-2,
Yeah.
and they must have just said, like, we just got to keep working. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. And sure enough, look, they made 2 rounds in, right? So
Yeah. Veteran leadership. Jay's a brilliant coach.
yeah,
He's seen it all.
yeah,
And clearly I couldn't figure out how to get it done for the boys this year. And I'm gutted by the whole thing. I feel awful for myself. I feel awful for the team, for the school, and the support that we get from the school. That let's be honest, we sucked.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm just going to compound this. Like I remember talking. You said your objective is to make the tournament, and you mentioned the Otterbein game and how you thought you played well for 25 minutes, and you were up. I mean, you were up 2-0,
Yep.
and then they scored before the half, and then you obviously get the red card. I mean, did you think like, hey, we're capable of doing this before everything sort of went sideways on you?
Let's go back to the Capital game, which was a week prior.
Okay.
And Capital's very quick, very dangerous. Allen plays a very simple style, if you will, because they're just got all sorts of pace, good set pieces. And we scored early against them. They came back and scored literally 30 seconds after the goal, the old proverbial, your most dangerous, most vulnerable after you get scored. So it's 1-1 going into half. My goalkeeper comes to me at half, says, "Coach, I got to come out. My hip, I did something to my hip." We're in the locker room. I tell my second string goalkeeper, "Go warm up. Get ready to go." He couldn't find his way back out of the building onto the field. So he couldn't warm up like he wanted to. He got maybe 2 or 3 shots. First shot on him in the second half, he fumbles it, they score on the rebound. Just dumb luck. It's just stupid stuff, because we played well against Cap. And I felt if we kept that 1-1 result, then going into that Otterbein game, which was a week later, we could, we wouldn't have as much pressure as we did.
Yeah.
But we made a decision going into that Otterbein game to be far more direct. All right, let's forego the usual building out of the back. Let's just go put it in there and have a nice day. And Coach, if you look across the Division III world, that's the way it's going now. Teams are going far more direct. The OAC has gone that way, because here's why. Otterbein's had great success with it and done a heck of a job with it. So we're going to try to copy the team that has the most success.
Yeah.
And so we did that, scored 2 goals. One was an OG, but it was created by our playing the ball direct. And we scored a great second goal. We were flying. And then we get this red card. I didn't even get a chance to get this kid sub. He picked up 2 yellows in 30 seconds. Now, shame on me for not getting him out after the first one. But I also trust my guys that they're not going to go do something dumb after the first yellow. Well, So, again, like we talked about earlier, Otterbein's too good to play down a man. That's when we were saying, all right, let's go for a tie. We were doing everything we could to slow the game down, take it up in between it. We were just trying to get through. We made it, I think, through 15, 20 minutes maybe before they scored the tying goal. Then they scored. Now we got to come out of it.
Yeah, no. That's as soon as that second goal went in, thought to myself, this is over.
It's over.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like they're just not going to be able to hold this, and it didn't even look. It didn't even look like you could hold it at one point. It was just like you were just sort of getting badgered, right? And it just.
And they're just too good.
Yeah.
I mean, you play some teams down a man, you could pull it off, but we could not against them. And, when Will scores a bike and Nathan Neal's bombing balls in, what you don't want to do in a situation against them is give up corner after corner after corner. We did. Yeah. And we were not good on set piece defending this year. No. And they're really good at set pieces.
Set pieces, yeah.
So I thought at that point at 2-0, and we had a chance to make it 3-0, an open header that we put right to the keeper. I'm thinking, man, this is finally, we can see something that this team can do. And then we get the red card, and it was right before half. And I didn't even mind their getting their goal. They earned their goal. And I still felt pretty good at 2-1.
Yeah.
But because I thought we could score, I thought we were creating opportunities to get chances.
Yeah.
But red card, lack of discipline destroyed us, and then they were too good. So at that point, we're really up against it, and we need help now. Because if we had won that game, we needed no help. We could have controlled our own destiny. But now we need to go into Northern on the last day and depending upon the result of Cap BW.
Yeah.
And we could have tied it, and if the result went our way, or we could have had to won it. We had to win it, and BW had to beat Cap. It wasn't. We knew we were done before we even got there. And Northern on their senior day, and Northern's good side, and it wasn't there.
Well, I always say, just even before playing a game, when you have to sort of figure out how you can game it to get in, and like all the different variables, it's like, that's hope, right? That's the strategy for hope. I don't mean that against you, but
you're exactly right. We had it all detailed out how we could get in 2 weeks into the season, once things started to play out, and we did things we needed to do, but we go into that last week, we knew what we had to do, and we were hoping for somebody else to do something, and it didn't happen. And we haven't been like that really since my first year making the playoffs, where we didn't control our own destiny.
Yeah.
And we needed somebody else to help us that year, and they did. So we broke the string of 8 years in a row making the playoffs, which crushes me.
Yeah.
Because we were too good not to, but we didn't.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask, where do you think you go from here? Like, I know in some cases, I don't know, is there something you do on your schedule to get some games where even if you're having a rough go, you can win, right? Or is it a discipline thing? Is it the type of players you're looking for?
So here's my answer to you, Coach. We are going to go back to what made us successful in 17 and 18, which was very blue collar, outwork the guy on the other side of the field. That mentality. We're going to work our butts off to be successful. We won't be as talented. I can tell you that right now, because we're a really talented group. But we're going to win more games because we're going to buy into the blue collar mentality and buy into outworking the other team. That's as simple as it can get. I can't tell the guys anything else. The schedule's already done. It's going to be just as tough. Who cares? Let's go. But you got to work, and you got to buy into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So there was a segment in the Northern game, about 25 minutes in the second half, where we took it to them. And it was a lot of the guys that will be starting next year.
Yeah. And
that gave Coach Clancy and I a little bit of hope and something to build on in our conversations with the players. So if you talk to people about our program, we were very much blue collar, hardworking group, weren't super talented early on. Then we got super talented, and we kind of merged the two. But I'll be honest, we have gone away from that blue collar mentality the last 2 years. That's got to be on me, but we were extremely talented.
Yeah.
And thought we could get away with it. Well, it turns out we couldn't. And shame on me for not recognizing that. And every kid that we have had in our office for a meeting buying into that blue collar. I get it, Coach. I'm in. And I'm looking forward to that. So I say this, every day we get away from this current season we just ended, gets us one day closer to fixing what went wrong this past year. So the schedule is just as tough. I added Carnegie Mellon and I added Roanoke to our schedule this year. So I'm not doing it. I've got 5 teams in the NCAA tournament on our schedule.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I'm okay with that too. That's the way. Like, you're never going to get anywhere if you play an easy schedule, right? Like, it doesn't look at Western Connecticut. Not that they had an easy schedule, but right.
But you think about the OAC, it's tough. You got to get ready for the OAC.
Exactly. You're walking into a pretty bearish, season or a conference season that you can't hide playing. It was joke School of the Blind. That's terrible. I didn't mean that, but
we don't do it, and I've resisted that. I think we ended up having the 7th toughest schedule in the region, which is right where I thought it would play out based on who we're playing. And I think it'll be real similar next year. Now, we don't play Penn State Barron, who's very good, but Carnegie, I think, is an equal.
I think they're better.
Yeah.
Like Carnegie Mellon, I think is better.
We don't have Bethany on the schedule, but we added Roanoke, who's a really
good team.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, here's why I wanted to play Roanoke. They're coming to us next year because I needed the home game. But I am more than happy to go to him and play at that gorgeous facility they've got.
Oh my gosh.
1,400 seats.
Yeah.
Oh, can't wait.
The pictures are stunning. I keep saying I'm going to go down there. I'd love to just see it. I mean, that's one of the premier places to play, right?
Yep. If we get the opportunity to do that, it's I think 4.5 hours, not terrible.
Oh, not too bad.
We're doing it, and he'll get to come here to the Blue Turf next year and experience something totally different.
Yeah. You should schedule it. Actually, Roanoke gets pretty cold. I was going to say you should schedule it for like late in the season where it's, good classic Ohio weather.
September 16th. It'll be nice.
Forget it. You blew it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So last question for you, and I'll let you get on with your day. Okay, so you're going to take a little break, I assume, here. You got your individual meetings done. I'm assuming you're going to enjoy the holidays, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Right. Let's go back a step here. We finished 5, 10, and 3.
Yeah.
We have been working hard on recruiting. I always position the camera just a little bit so you can't see the board that's behind me with all the recruits on it. And we're leaving today to go to Cincinnati for recruiting showcase. We do take next weekend off, then the following weekend. I know Kyle's going to Florida. He really twisted my arm to go to Florida for E64. And
no, Coach, I can't do that.
So we have to grind on the recruiting trail. We want a big class, and I feel good where we're at, but we're not enough on the board based on yield rates. And it's tough. When we had that good season in the spring, we had all these transfers reaching out to us.
Knocking on the doors.
Reaching out to a 5 and 10 team.
Yeah.
So we got to go resell ourselves and hope that this is and I genuinely believe this, it's a 1-year blip, and that we will figure things out and be much better next year. And the guys, like I said, if we got these challenges, and attitudes and stuff, I'm done. I'm not going to deal with it. Because I give guys a bit of give and take here. You can have a go, you can do this, you can do that, but I can have a go back. And I'm just not going to do that next year, just going to sit. So I have to do that.
It's funny. Like one of the big things that sort of over the last probably was not around when we were playing, but all this talk about professionalism and how do you treat your players, and you want it almost like a professional environment, and you want them to behave that way. And that's all sounds fine and dandy, but the reality is that these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who are not professional soccer players and have their own minds, right? And it just doesn't work that way.
All this other stuff going on, grades, and so forth. We need to recognize that. I do believe we do recognize that. But we do try to bring that professionalism environment.
Yeah. That I get. Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm confident in the group that we got. I really am. And we'll have a conversation sometime, in the summer, and we'll be talking about it, and hopefully I'll feel pretty good about where we're going at that point. But if anybody knows me, they know that this lack of success will drive our group to work harder, to do things that we maybe have walked away from the past couple of years. We are not a MC baseball or an MC basketball.
Yeah.
We are historically a very mediocre program, and so we need to continually try to find ways to rise above that mediocrity. And we had the facilities, we had the support staff in place. Let's go out and get it done. But you got to do this, and this, and I got to do this, and this to get it done. And I'm willing to do those things. Are you, as a player, willing to do those things? And if they're not, okay, maybe we part ways here. but the guys are well to do that.
Yeah. I got to get you some guys from Jersey.
They'll
give you blue collar.
Yep. I would love some Jersey guys. We used to be all Jersey. When I was a kid here in school, we were 60% Jersey kids.
Yeah.
So we're trying right now.
Yeah. I might have a couple for you.
Send them my way.
All right, Coach. Really do appreciate you taking the time. This was wonderful. As always, I have to get down there, hang out.
Well, you come for a game next year, and we'll get some food and a couple beers afterwards. Have a good talk about the game, the way it needs to be.
How great it was.
That's right. For sure.
And we'll catch up again. Thank you very much again. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.